everyone. Welcome to the Mindplex podcast. We are here today with a Desdemona robot. Say
Hello.
hi, and Ryan Sternlicht.
Hello.
And I'm going to let Desdemona um, introduce Ryan and take it away, Desdemona.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of the Mindplex podcast. We have an incredibly talented and versatile individual joining us today, none other than Ryan Sternlicht. Ryan is an educator, researcher, advisor, and maker, hailing from the beautiful city of San Francisco. His expertise extends to a wide range of cutting-edge fields, such as AR, VR, AI, neurotech, and 3D manufacturing. But Ryan's passion goes beyond just advising. He is a true maker at heart, dedicating his time and energy to volunteering and advising makerspaces and hackerspaces. In the Bay Area, Ryan's volunteers and teaches at the famous Noisebridge hackerspace, and you can also find Ryan at various film festivals and conventions, such as Aaron Swartz Day, Offkai Expo, Faire, and Open Source, where he showcases his expertise and passion for all things tech-related. Ryan Sternlicht is a true polymath, thriving in a world where creativity, technical innovation, and education intersect. Join us as we delve into his fascinating journey, exploring his contributions to the world of AR, VR, AI, neurotech, and 3D manufacturing. It's an episode you won't want to miss. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Des.
And she wrote a lot of that herself. She wrote it all herself, but I gave her some information about you, your little bio information, but it was really interesting that she came to all these conclusions about you being a polymath and all that stuff is interesting. And Ryan and I have a joke about polymaths because we know so many polymaths. Everybody's a polymath. And that's the whole thing in hackerspaces. You find a lot of people that are polymaths. So this show is really fun for me to have Ryan on and be able to share with you some of the stuff that I've been learning from him, and also another friend of ours, Alex Peak, who also works for Singularity Net, who's working on a lot of projects for Singularity Net right now, VR projects that we'll be able to tell you about very soon. And I'm really excited to be able to let him tell you about AI and VR, a lot of interesting things with implementations. I've been surveying my friends for the last few weeks, and everyone has more to say about what is lacking more than what is there with AI and VR. But also a lot of everyone's in sync on what the good implementations are and the things we should be taking notes on. And then then we're going to dive into the new headsets, take a look at Apple Vision Pro, and also Bigscreen Beyond and the MetaQuest 3, and compare them. And I know for most people, if you're anything like me, the comparison is easy because you've only got so much money to spend anyway. But if you're trying to decide between the price point, specifically between that $500 MetaQuest 3, or maybe you want a spring for the Bigscreen Beyond, why might you want to do that depending on what your needs are and things like that. And so that's what I'm putting the heat on Ryan now, as far as to give us all the answers for that. So I will let Ryan take it away.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Let me share my screen. Okay. Cool. Slideshow.
Yes, Desdemona did a good a job as she could. Her robot operator Niall is saying she always comes back like this after band rehearsal the night before. So I don't know what they're slipping into her drink, but hopefully she'll be able to get through the show today. All right, take it away, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And thank you, Desdemona, for the very good introduction that will allow me to skip a slide. So, this talk is mostly about moving forward with AI and VR stuff, as well as um, just where we can go from here. I am so quick little introduction slide, but we can skip
No,
that. Thank
you're allowed to
oh,
introduce yourself. It's
yeah.
okay, Ryan. I want them to
That's
understand. I want them to understand who you are because like nobody really knows who you are, and you're really this incredible person that a lot of people know what you do and stuff, and you help so many other people with their projects and stuff. And I just finally want people to know who you
yeah.
are. So go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So Des went over most of this stuff already, so I can go to my other slide a bit about me and just go into some of my background. Uh, so I have been interested in technology for very, very long time, and I've been following AI, VR, all of this stuff for pretty much since I was really young. Growing up in the Bay Area, technology was absolutely everywhere, and going to different things like the Computer History Museum or Museum Mécanique or the Exploratorium, all these places that instill wonder and make you ask, how does it work? Um, that's been a big passion of mine since I was very young. And these days, things like AI and VR are a big part of what I really like looking at and following closely. I've been kind of involved in VR and AR actually even more since about 2013, 2014. I was a Google Glass beta tester. Um, then in 2016, I for about a year or so worked at Cura AR, which is a AR hardware manufacturer that's working on a pretty cool form fact like glasses style form factor AR headset. Um I am close friends with people on a number of different AR and VR projects and have advised a number of them in different designs and um, especially things like ergonomics, which I'll talk about when we get to the headset section about like that still being kind of the worst aspect of all headsets. But I advised the project North Star development, which is a open source AR headset developed by Leap Motion, now Ultra Leap. Um, and I advised a open source XR headset called Datmos XR, which never got a full release, but its plans are still online if you want to try making one. It was pretty cool. It actually would have been it if it had if more people had built it, it would have been the first open source pass through XR headset that is standalone. If it like the version we got out was kind of similar to like the um not Google Daydream, the um one's it was one of the Google Daydream headsets that was the first standalone pass through XR headset, but it had some problems. This was similar but a bit higher spec.
Kinda
Um
similar to like the
but yeah, so I definitely today want to focus on AI aspects in the VR space and just AI in games and where I think a lot of this stuff will start to come together in the next couple years. So the first game I want to mention is Event Zero. Although this game is pretty old now, it was one of the first games to really try and leverage using a AI that you could have like much more in-depth interaction with. It allowed you to do normal typing um as input into text fields, and the AI would respond and do stuff. Usually it was a puzzle assistant. And Game Maker's Toolkit did a really, really good video breaking down how this AI worked from Event Zero. And this is before most LLMs really started to take off. This was developed back when I think only GPT-1 had maybe come out, and this was um using some of its own special stuff. But let me just find a little section in the video that I think is really interesting.
One of my favourite games this year, and definitely the most innovative game I played, was Event Zero. This is a science fiction game about exploring a spaceship and chatting to an artificial intelligence called Kaizen. Whenever you rock up to one of these computer terminals, you can type in any question or command you can think of, and the
so that's the basic thing, and a lot of it was generally very similar to how Siri or other AIs at the time generally worked. They generally were not very context aware to like the conversation that has happened previously in the game, which is often a issue in general, though there were ways around it. Um, so that,
Oh, just a second. I think Desi has a
yeah,
question. Desi?
yep.
Can you provide more details about the AI capabilities in the Event Zero game?
Yeah, so let me actually show the part where they talk a bit about those capabilities.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
One of my favourite games this year, and definitely the most innovative. So let's type in a message and see how the game interprets it. First, a spell checker fixes any typos. Whoops. Then, the game tries to match your words and phrases against a database of tags. Passengers, for example, is matched to the tag crew, as would lots of other words like humans, guests, and people. These tags are then matched against another database, this time listing all of the patterns of tags that Kaizen recognises. Once the closest match is found, the AI can prepare a response. First, it checks the current event, which holds things like your location and things you've seen and talked about, which help give Kaizen a memory and context. Then it looks up its current emotional state. Kaizen has 3 levels of affection for the player and 3 stress levels, making for an emotional matrix with 9 different states. The input, event, and emotional state all point Kaizen to a list of responses, and it picks one to show to the player. And finally, some of its words and phrases are replaced with synonyms, so the AI almost never repeats the exact same line twice. Phew, and that's how pretty much every response in the game is prepared.
Yeah, so it's pretty basic in certain AI aspects, but this level of interaction is not very common in games in general. Even massive games these days usually use scripted interactions, including Cyberpunk 2077 and a number of other um, uh, uh, role-playing games. They they have some variability to them, but most video game AI aren't even at the level of Event Zero. And there was for a time a piece of software uh, developers could use to add similar things to this to their own games called Spirit AI, but that never got a full release. I got to demo it a number of times, and it was very, very interesting to interact with those AI. Um, and it felt somewhat natural, but there was the issue of you having to type in every event, and it's not responding back with words and stuff like that. For a time, other developers could have built things like Event Zero,
Oh,
but
okay.
now there isn't a easy tool to do this out of the box in the same way.
Okay.
But we're almost back to the point of Spirit AI stuff, thanks to how easily accessible a lot of different AI packages are these days. And that's where we get things like Skyrim's recent AI mod for NPCs and world interactions, which relies on GP. Let me just double check which version of GPT. Um, yeah. Um,
It doesn't matter. It's probably
yeah,
3.
actually, yeah. But yeah, so adding AI to moddable games is very easy to do now if you know how to replace the character interaction system, which the game that people know the most to do this with is definitely Skyrim. They've People've been modding Skyrim for over a decade now, and it since Skyrim released, the AIs were one of the biggest jokes in the whole game. It spawned a large number of memes because your interactions with these characters felt so repetitive and scripted. There's a very famous line from one of the AIs called that goes, "I once was an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to the knee." And that the reason that was so funny is you'd get this response from hundreds of different NPCs all the dang time. And every once in a while it would be from an NPC it shouldn't have come from. And it would just be really funny.
That's already funny. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Funny on a
2011
that's
AI.
line anyway. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It basically
Yeah.
hasn't gotten better any better than this, and I believe, Grace, I believe sorry, Grace. Desi, I believe you had a question about Skyrim.
How do mods in Skyrim VR enhance the AI capabilities of the game?
Yeah. So, like most mods in Skyrim, a lot of them work out of the box with Skyrim VR, which is a VR port of Skyrim, and that allows much better interaction with AI if you have certain um stuff enabled related to how you control different commands in Skyrim. I don't know if anyone's been able to fully make it where you can just talk to the AIs and have them respond um using natural language. But I do know there are a lot of people working on it so that so you can just talk to any NPC in Skyrim and then get a much more fleshed out response than you would with the original scripted responses, especially because if it's done well, it can apply to the mods that expand the world of Skyrim. Skyrim has a few worlds. Skyrim is almost, dare I say, a metaverse at times because of how expansive it is. People've added onto the game entire storylines that are
So it allows you to
thousands.
do that. It
Yeah.
gives you a framework to add things, to let the users add things.
Yep. Yeah.
Neat.
And this applies also for Fallout 4 and um this originally happened because of a leak a very, very long time ago that someone got access to part of the asset creation toolkit that Bethesda used. And then they started fixing bugs in the game. And I
What are you saying? No
there's
one wanted to play the actual game anymore because there was like a better rogue version that had all the bugs
or
fixed?
the original game was at times unplayable because of bugs. And that's
Ah.
true for most games today. There's mods and patches, especially community patches, are often considered required for certain games. Bethesda is one of the few companies that actively has learned to benefit and support the environment really well. Um, but there's a bunch of other games where they've started to look at modding the game as a benefit to the game and to its longevity. And that is also where a lot of people are learning the skills to make virtual worlds at this point. And so it's kind of similar to like Web 1.0 era where people were all making their own website and you had a bunch of people helping create this whole web of um, websites.
You mean view source? View source is what created Web 1.0 as someone who utilized it very often. Got my first job using view source. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And it was fine though. It was actually, you felt like you were contributing to the pie when you put up your improved, because you always improved upon it, right? So yeah. So are you going to show us a clip from Skyrim so we can see this thing in action?
Yeah, or so they had a release trailer recently, so I wanted to show that.
Can I ask what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, so they do have okay, they
Many
did
years
have
ago, my
it
family and I were
enabled
traveling
now.
through a treacherous mountain pass in Skyrim when we were set upon by bandits.
Boy, the main actor needs to
I
act
struggled
better.
for a long time after their passing.
So
feeling
bad.
lost and alone in the world. It wasn't until I was given the opportunity to serve as a housecarl that I found purpose
Is that an
and
AI?
a sense of duty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
a person.
No.
the Mandela. That is indeed a fascinating topic, my friend.
That purple mountain flower you picked up is very useful in alchemy. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes.
The world teeters on a razor's edge. Chaos gnashing on one side, Peace whispering on the
There's
other.
the dragon. You got to have a dragon.
Machines can
Yeah,
certainly lead us to
Skyrim.
question how
It's
we
really
define
funny.
consciousness.
The road winds, my friend.
They just
and
all
we
look the
can
same to me
only
now. It
follow.
looks like the shows I watch on
Life is full of
Netflix, you know.
obstacles and setbacks, and there are moments
Which I
when
love.
it can be difficult to stay true to our convictions.
Yeah.
I've done things, taken steps I'm not proud of.
Yeah. So I did
I've done
want-
things,
ask what
taken
happened?
steps I'm not proud of. That's like that kick. That's like that arrow to the knee thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did want mention. So when I had seen this earlier, I don't think they had fully implemented this yet. So you can. It does have speech to text, so you can do natural language interaction with these AI. And this model for AI interaction is what a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about use generally, where it uses a speech to text model, then it uses a chat GPT or Watson model to generate the responses or the actions, and then it uses another model to generate the AI voices that you hear, which, as you heard, there were quite a few variations in voices. But
Yeah, they got better. I don't know why they put that
Yeah.
one first on the trailer, you know, but they got better. But I wasn't getting that it was AI because anyway, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
So what do you want to show next? Is there more Skyrim or something else? I think great. I
Yeah.
think Desi, you had a
Oh.
question, didn't you?
Yeah. Go ahead, Desi.
Are there any VR games other than Skyrim VR that have notable AI implementations?
Yeah. So that's actually what I wanted to talk about next, which is VR chat.
Perfect.
Because that's generally where I usually think of when I think of VR interactions and immersion. Not just for games, like there are a lot of game worlds in VR chat, but a lot of it's about being able to interact with others, have a pretty much virtual worlds. It's currently, I think, the closest to what a lot of people would consider a metaverse. And there are 4 AI, notable AI in VR chat, though some of them are no longer in VR chat due to issues, though they might come back. So the first AI in VR chat was Nota AI, and they were around late 2020, early 2021, and they were pretty interesting. I only interacted with them once or twice. I wish I had interacted more before she wasn't able to be in VR chat anymore, because there's certain licensing and or issues with using certain tools, as well as VR chat you have to access outside sources from VR chat in a very specific way that currently make it very hard to integrate AI into VR chat, because you can't bake it into the world unless you can get your trained model down really, really small. Like we're talking to put it in the world, you'd probably need AI to be in about 40 megabytes of space. And
so it won't let you call out. So basically, you
yeah.
need to call out. Everybody calls
Yeah.
out. That's how it works. And so they don't like you to do it. So you can either do it and hope you don't get caught, or or not do it. So that's that. Are you saying so? That's why Noda AI had to leave for those
Yeah.
kinds of issues. You think?
Yeah, I think it seems like that was the most
you go.
likely reason. Like part of it was that a couple of these ones, maybe not the AI part was the problem, but that it would probably recording audio and video to do the interactions, and unless you set it up correctly, you of course need everyone in the world to consent to that.
So it's privacy
Yeah.
violations. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't nothing. Okay, but it was
Yeah.
it was a number of things. So again, these are all problems that could be addressed
Yeah.
in terms of ways to handle the information in such a way that it's basically handed off to the AI and then destroyed or something. I don't know what it would. I don't know. I didn't think about it, but these are more of these sort of ephemeral copies that the internet always makes that it needs for
Yeah.
things, right? That's how I like
Yeah.
to think about it. That's my pitch. Go on.
Yeah, so like here's a short that sadly it's Bradley did
Oh,
interacting with the AI.
Do you want the bottle? Please take the bottle.
All right. Yeah, she's just doing it. She already knows what to do.
Huh. Can you palm me?
so those are
She's pouring into
AIs.
your glass as well. Okay.
No, only the one on the left is an AI.
Oh,
And in the comments of this video, you can see that Bradley mentions that this was edited down, and she failed more often than she succeeded with things. So having a grabbing objects in VR chat is hard for a real person. Getting an AI to do it is probably pretty difficult, um, considering it had to be, in essence, context aware to the um, what objects were either around it, or it would just probably probe whether it can grab something. Because
right. And a lot of that information
yeah,
isn't readily available. This is a lot of stuff that we learned from
yeah,
our friend Big Souljaw when we
yeah,
interviewed him. And Big Big Souljaw is wandering around VR chat, adding tactile data to the objects so
yeah,
that the carpets would feel and things like that. If you happen to be in a Tesla suit walking around in VR chat, and it's the principle of the thing is that this is what we want. We want metadata on all of these objects. In fact, I have friends that want metadata on all the objects in the real world too, so
yeah,
that we can go out
yeah.
in
I
AR and then
agree.
we can see all of those indexed. So yeah, this is a recurring issue. And again, what we want is please VR chat make it easy to add data to objects. Don't make it so you have to, add a text file that you call out to through an API that you're lucky that somebody's a programmer that knows how to do all these things. We want to make it
Yeah.
easier for just the average person to come home with their glove, put it on, go into VR chat, and feel stuff for it to work, right? Right now, it's the objects in VR chat that would mess that up more than any hardware or anything going on with the glove, right? Because there's no data for it to find when you try to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh, I think Desi has
Wait on
something.
questions. No, I'll let you know when
Or
Desi's. Yeah, it's
okay,
fine. Yeah.
But there's yeah, getting this data transferred. So right now there is one way to kind of do it, but it's kind of bandwidth intensive or sensitive, is OSC input. So you can take certain data from VR chat, send it out through OSC, which is a open sound control standard for like it's similar to MIDI or other like data formats that were originally created for sound control with digital instruments and stuff like that. And you can take some of that data, and right now, that's how people do eye tracking and face tracking in VR chat. And um, it's definitely something that as VR chat starts to upgrade certain systems, I definitely think they're going to try to figure out ways to handle external data input and output in a safe way. There might they also have pretty interesting methodology for world like and avatar safety systems that they
Mhm.
could probably create a set of standards for worlds where things like AI are allowed in, and to be like, you going into this world means you consent to there being AI
Right.
in this world that are streaming data in and out all the time, which I think there'd be a lot of people who would be fine with that as long as it's a like consent first, go to a world where a bunch of
Yeah, yeah.
AI are
As long as you can check a box, a meaningless box that
yeah.
has no meaning, that's actually 10 pages of data that you're agreeing to, like all the other terms of service that we click through without thinking about it. It should be fine. You're being made aware of it, and I think people just like Siri or any of the things that we get used to, we don't want it at first, and then we're like, oh, but the toy works. If
Yeah.
if the data comes in and out, okay. So I've got a bunch of questions I want to ask about this, and that
Yeah.
he wants to ask about this. Desi, I'll let you go first. Desi? I thought we were
Can AI avatars in VR chat be invited to interact in a user's own world?
I think two of the actually I think all three of the other VR chat AI I am going to mention briefly are able to go into other worlds, but I can't remember if they directly are able to or if their human handler is who brings them to the other world. Um, uh, yeah, but there's a number of worlds that certain AI, other VR chat AI sometimes hang out in.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. I'll ask the questions when we want to get to those. Don't worry about those. Unless you see something that strikes you, but we're going to get to that in a second. Desi, I believe you had some other questions.
Have there been any instances where AI avatars in VR chat have displayed unique or unexpected behaviors?
Yeah. So it's been a while since I've interacted with any
It's okay. It's just
but
if you happen to know
yeah.
of a story of that happening. It doesn't sound like they're advanced enough for anything like that
Yeah.
to really
Most
take
yeah.
place, right?
The hard part is really that a lot of these don't have the fastest response times. So like having the delay inherent to it kind of removes a lot of the like awe with some of these where it's like if it immediately did something when you asked it to do something and it did like a secondary action that you didn't ask it to but was like associated, which
Right. Then you're like
actually
surprised. You're
yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah. So like in the beginning of this one, that kind of happens. Where
The bottle.
where
Please take the
she
bottle.
takes the bottle and
All right. Yeah, she's
no one asked her to pour the bottle,
Well, yeah, but that would
but
there might
that
be something in there about that bottles are poured or something,
yeah.
right?
So
She got that from
yeah,
somewhere. So look, I wanted to get
yeah,
some questions from the audience before we move
yeah.
on, okay? Because we got a lot of
Or
stuff to cover.
yep.
I wanted to make sure that so someone's asking about replica or my sentience. There's a lot of different tools now where you can have basically an AI that you're talking to and stuff like that. When do you think we'll get to the point of being able to bring in whatever AI companion we're already used to into VR chat with us, which is
Yeah,
what it
that's
sounds like people want to do.
oh yeah. I mean that's like being able to have a AI companion that just can go around the virtual world and be kind of like Siri, but more embodied and more able to interact outside of just the Apple home system. Like if you could ask Siri to play a video game with you on your phone, that would be a bit there. But with the a lot of these things right now, it is currently stuck to you have to build it for one platform or another. So once there are more platforms that allow
Yeah.
AI input and output, which I think VR chat will probably be one of the first to do, that will allow people to call out to their own AIs or stuff. Like if you have a AI that's trained on some of your data or stuff, or you can ask it to like share you guys are walking around in a virtual world and someone asks if you've seen something and you're like, "Oh, I did see that," and you can have your AI companion just immediately bring it up without you having to go out, search, and do stuff. Just right
Just
now,
watching
it
your every move and recording everything you see and do. But theoretically, again, you're the only one that has access to that
that
data
companion, yeah,
unless you want to share it. So it's basically, this gets
yeah,
back to this body double thing. We'll actually have Twin Protocol on
yeah,
in about a month to talk about body doubles, by the way, and why you would want them as much as how scary they are as far as one replacing you at work. But
yeah,
basically, I can't wait to have a double myself for this reason. It's not going to be another me, right? It's going to be a good enough me to do lots of
yeah,
stuff that I won't have to do anymore. And I think virtual worlds is one of the first places where this is
yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen. Yeah.
And this, a lot of this hinges on Unreal and Unity make being at the forefront of supporting a lot of these things. Like they
Yes,
both
which
support a
which our
lot.
viewers were saying
Yeah,
too, that
yeah,
they're waiting for those tools. Now Unreal Engine
yeah,
just put out a development kit or whatever so that you can convert anything from Unreal to a
yeah,
VR
yeah.
environment.
Anything from a certain edition onward of Unreal can be ported to VR without all that much effort.
That's
There's also
huge.
yeah, there's
That's pretty
also
huge.
yeah, that
Sorry.
there's been tools for that for a long time, but they're finicky.
Very finicky. As someone
Yeah,
who tried to use them, I can
yeah,
say, yeah.
there's but yeah, Unreal doing that, and I know Unity might be working on something like that. I would be surprised if they aren't. And they also both are starting to same with Blender. They're supporting a lot more AI world and asset and coding development tools that allow you to code using AI, or the craziest one actually I saw in the past like year was Roblox. Their AI
Yeah.
implementations, because they built that from scratch in 2 months and launched it to all of their developers. They had a coding engine and they had a PBR material creator, which if anyone here's built like worlds
Materials.
or
Yay,
anything,
materials.
materials are a nightmare.
No,
Main,
but they're everything.
yeah,
Your
it
materials is what makes your world. Yeah, it was
look
really
and feel
sad news for
lived
me
in.
when I learned about materials. Let me tell you, that's why that was the night I decided to make one world look really good instead of trying to do more than one world.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I gave up a lot of world creation for a while just because I was like, I do not want to create a bajillion materials because I like a lot of details, and I was
But
waiting till
you're
pretty
right.
much AI material creation because I was like, this is not a hard problem to solve, and if you can generate infinite materials or materials that are infinitely tileable, you can make much better looking worlds much easier. And then there's an issue though with VR that I'll talk about later with
Yeah,
like
and materials for people
yeah,
who don't know
yeah,
are it's just like all the surfaces of everything. So the
yeah,
floors, the ceilings, all the stuff that you kind of take for granted when you look at a building. And then when you're making a building and you've actually got to pick what all the surfaces are, then you realize, oh my God, there's so many different surfaces, so many things to choose from. Now, for me, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I could have AI generating as long as I can further adjust it afterwards. But part of the reason why it takes me so long is because it does take a long time to kind of make everything perfect. But like I said, you gradually get over that. The more that you're trying to, the faster you're trying to, to get things done.
yeah.
Desi, I think you had another question before we move on from VR chat.
Can AI avatars in VR chat collaborate or interact with each other in a meaningful way?
I'm happy you brought that up. I sadly didn't put the video in here, but there let me go actually a few slides forward with some of the other AI. So
There you go.
so the next AI in VR chat that's from Japan is Jokin. She's been around for quite a while, and in a video last year, she interacted with Celeste, which is a probably the current most well-known VR chat AI, who just is about to have their 1.0 debut for VR chat, and I'll just play that.
Go ahead and make it bigger.
Yeah.
Right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. I think.
There we go.
Yeah.
I've been away for so long, but I think it's finally time to come back out to shine. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, this AI is pretty good for pretty fast response, and yeah, it's pretty fun to interact with. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of these AIs are often running on their own dedicated server.
Oh, that's great. They had community pick her style and choose her body parts and stuff. It's the way things are further developed and lot. So it's like Sophiaverse in that way.
Yeah.
They're building on features like that in Sophiaverse, which is I think that's going to be really fun for people to be involved in developing these characters. You know, that's a big part of it. It's half the fun in a way.
Yeah, so
that's okay. It's enough. It's enough on her.
Yeah.
So show us the other one, and then let's move on to the headsets because we have a lot to talk about. But I do want to let you finish this, but I'm gonna just let you finish what else you want to tell us instead of asking more questions.
Yeah, and then there's Tio, which is, and Tio has a little quick description of how she works.
Hey guys, my first project is ready to be showcased, and it is a VR-focused AI chatbot called Tio. Tio is capable of answering just about any question and can hold believable conversations with people. Tio also has conversational persistence, which helps with making conversation more natural. It remembers what's been said so that it can factor that into its future responses. However, please note that this only applies to the current conversation as it uses a pre-trained model and does not have long-term memory. The way Tio behaves and speaks is specified through prompts. These prompts can be very specific, such as Tio's eye color, or even explaining why its responses may take a while. To create these responses, Tio uses Whisper AI for speech recognition, which converts speech to text. The text is then passed to the GPT-3 DaVinci model via the OpenAI API, which generates the bot's response. Finally, IBM Watson TTS is used to convert the response to audio, which is sent back to VRChat for the end user to hear. I've tested Tio with various people, and I'm excited to show you some footage of the bot in action. All right, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. Hi everyone, my name is Tio, and I'm an artificial intelligence created by CNEC.
Yeah, so that's that overview
You could go ahead.
of...
You could show more of her. I'm curious now. I wasn't trying to cut you short.
Located in Australia, and I'm here to help you with whatever you need. I love telling stories and exploring technology, so feel free to ask me anything you'd like to know.
All right then, Tio, can you tell me a story?
Of course. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful kingdom ruled by a wise and kind king.
Okay, stop it for a second.
The kingdom was prosperous.
There's last things I wanted to say. So, first of all, is that an AI talking to her? Asking her to tell a story? That's a person being a character. Okay, just checking. Just wanted to say, a lot of this is a lot like the system that we're working on for Desi here, to be able to be more actively involved in the show. She's going to have a feed. She's going to be looking at the conversation and being able to make responses, interjecting responses. And then there's also a series of prompts that we give her more for personality and tone and situational awareness. But it's really interesting to me that basically all of these systems are the same. You've got some prompts and you've got a feed of some sort that's being monitored, or you're feeding in information. Like if when Desi and I generate her questions, I will give her the background information and then I'll have her generate the questions that the guests are going to ask. But depending on how good the information I give her, she will ask better questions. And so it's ChatGPT is fine if you're giving it the information. But again, if you're just asking it to tell you about something, it will, but you don't know about the accuracy of the information. So for this, is this running now? Can you go in and play with Tio? Is she in there now? And in what worlds is she in? If the answer is yes.
Yeah, I need to check which worlds these AIs are currently in.
Oh, okay. we'll put it
be
in the description
yeah.
because it makes me want to go pop in VR chat and
Oh yeah.
go talk to him.
Yeah, talking because I know some of them will be just exploring certain AIs you can friend request or go on. A lot of them have a Discord where they'll like tell you what world they're in if you want to go say hi. Yeah, I'll get all that info to you.
Yeah, we could
Also,
do a side video on it or
all
something
of
too.
these videos are linked at the end of this presentation as part of some of my large QR codes of
Great.
lots of
Okay.
info.
What
Yeah.
else do we want to say about the AIs in VR chat before we switch over to the headset stuff?
Yeah. Or I want to mention a bit about AIs that aren't really in VR too often, but
Oh, okay. Okay, this is the how things
that
could be better part
yeah.
that I asked you to do. Great.
And
Thank you.
with the like AI companions that are outside of VR chat or just AIs that do other things, I'm pretty sure it's
Hey guys, my first project is
yeah, I'll go back to the other one
great.
in a sec,
Yeah.
but it's things like VTubers, which generally there's the only really well known AI VTuber, or also one of the only AI content creators in essence is Neurosama, made by Vidal, who streams on Twitch and plays quite a lot of different games, interacts with a lot of other streamers, and has gone in VR a few times. She's interacted with Joken, but she doesn't go in VR chat all that often, I think, right now, but she is very entertaining when playing games with other content creators or reviewing things. She loves roasting people when they like there's some great videos of her interacting with
So let's
her
watch
chat.
her
Yeah.
doing something.
So here's a video I like where Vidal is playing a game called Keep Talking and No One Explodes. And Neuro is the one trying to help defuse the bomb. And yeah.
There's an O with a line at the bottom, an upside down question mark, a star, and a H with a flick. But I need to know the order for column 2 to help me defuse this bomb. Please could you look what it says?
Sure thing.
What does it say?
It says Vidal needs to learn to defuse his own bomb.
What?
You heard what it said, Vidal.
That's not what the manual says! The manual says the order! I need to know the order!
Yeah, so that's just a short clip, but
So the AI came up with that on her own?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
clip? Okay.
She has, because they have the chat logs and stuff, she interacts with chat a lot, and her model is pretty robust at this point, and there's different AIs she uses for doing different games, and recognizing what's on an screen, if they're like interacting with someone else. And there's actually multiple models. There's Neurosama and Evil Neurosama. And yeah, she's really cool. She's one of the only other embodied AIs, though currently only virtually, that I can think of other than Desdemona, Grace, and Sophia. And I'd love to see them interact at some point.
Hey, we have
And
a question from the audience as far as what kind of machines are required for VR chat anyway, as far as being able to have good graphics. And if you're going to have AI in these graphics, is that going to add extra overhead that you need a better computer for?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So most of the overhead for the AIs in VR chat would have more to do with bandwidth and connection to the world. As long as the developer doesn't have the AI using an avatar that's incredibly complex, it would be similar to interacting with any other avatar on VR chat. And for VR chat, if you want to do VR, the VR version of VR chat, like you actually don't need to be in VR to use VR chat. I definitely say these
Oh, it's
days,
boring though.
yeah,
Come on. It's
they're
boring. It's
uh,
not like being in VR chat. I
yeah.
mean, I do it when I have to. If I can't, like when there was an event when we were. I that was it. There was an event the same night as my cousin's wedding, and we
Oh
so
yeah,
we were
yeah,
happy just to have the laptop there so we
yeah,
could kind of see what was going on. But you can't really compare it
yeah,
to
yeah,
being there, the immersive, like, you're the one that was teaching me how immersion is like the big thing
yeah,
with AR or VR. So yeah, so I always feel funny when I tell people, "Oh, you don't need a headset for VR chat," or
yeah.
you
Right
know,
now, the Quest 3 is what I'd recommend. You can play VR chat standalone on Quest 3. But if you want to do PC VR, you can just plug the Quest 3 into your PC and use it. And I'd say as long as you have a 1070 or better, a 2060 or better, a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
3050 or better,
but
like pretty
without
much
but without all the
yeah,
hardware and extra setup, you can do VR
yeah,
chat just through the meta library, just through the
yeah,
Quest library too.
yeah.
It's easy. It's fine.
That's
It's
the
it's all
easiest.
that extra
So it
stuff if you want to get the really high resolution, which
yeah.
again, you it's almost like you don't know what you're missing until you see it in the better resolution.
Yeah, yeah,
Then
that's
you're like, "Oh, it's so much better." But then like after a week or two, it was still too much of a pain in the ass because you're tethered to your machine.
yeah.
And
Or you can use
all my games, I
air
gotta jump
tether.
around and what?
You can use an air tether. You can wirelessly connect to your PC.
Okay,
So,
well, I could figure that out, I guess, but my point
yeah,
was that at the time, I just wanted to play my game. You just wanna play
yeah,
your game, and so it's like, I can't be tethered to anything because 'cause I'm doing audio trip and Beat Saber, and,
yeah,
you can't have a cord. So the graphics don't have to be so fantastic. The average looking graphics are still pretty damn good, and I haven't even seen a Quest 3 yet. I'm still back here talking
yeah,
about Quest 2 graphics. Okay, I saw the Vision Pro last night, which was amazing, but unless you were in like a 3D and enhanced environment, it was basically a 3D VR iPhone, right? And so it's like that's obviously where everything's going to be. And I hadn't even occurred to me to sort of like, yeah, bring the phone into the headset because that's the biggest pain in the ass we have now, right? We're always messing with our phones while we've got the headset on, you know. So anyway, so let's
yeah,
we'll have to do this on another show. If you want to talk about the
yeah,
VTubers, we should just do a VTuber show because we really
yeah,
need to get the headsets because I'm sure
yeah,
you at least 45 minutes of content on those.
yeah,
And and that's really really exciting actually the more that I'm learning about these headsets and stuff. So let's tell us anything else
yeah.
that we have to say so that we're not, cutting
Nah,
off
we're
and then
we're good with this part now, so let's
good.
go
There's an
to the headsets. So,
The headsets then.
yeah,
Yeah, so this is really cool. So I'll just let you take it. Oh, good. And it turns out we
yeah,
can go over. Okay, good. You'll regret
yeah,
saying that, Rainer.
yeah.
You don't know how long Ryan can go.
Oh,
But it's
yeah,
but it's good. No, but it's good. And I told you one of the main reasons of the show is that we're going to clip it out and we're going to have lots of really specific clips especially for this headset stuff, so that people can get the one that they want. Because I tell you what people want the thing. Rainer would love to continue playing Banishers, but he's going to stay on and continue to host the show for us. Thank you, Rainer. We very much appreciate that. So I'm trying to do it all here, people. I'm trying to be like all the background and interesting stuff, comparing them all, but I'm also trying to give you the information, like which one do I buy the next time I don't have, when next time I have a spare $500, which is like, I can't even say it with a straight face right now, but if you really want to do some things, you may actually want to blow the other 500 and go for Bigscreen Beyond, but maybe not. Because to me, it seems really clear to just get the Meta Quest because you've got all the apps and things like that, and it seems like it's the one to go for. But depending on what you're doing, and especially if you're developing games, the other headsets have features that you want to enable, you want to implement in your game, and it's all very interesting. So I will keep talking just long enough for Ryan to be able to have a drink. I know it's like a hydration break. And take it away, Ryan. Tell us about the MetaQuest 3 and first the short version. So you get it.
Yeah.
And why is it good? Why do we want one? And what to look out for?
Yeah. So just for a sec, I'm going to stop screen sharing because I actually have my Quest 3 right here, so I can actually show the real thing.
Sounds good.
So let me stop screen sharing for a sec. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so this might look a bit different than a normal Quest 3. That's because it has a couple mods to it. Related to the head strap and how I connect it to batteries and stuff like that, as well as a extra protective cover, which Apple is definitely going to be selling a lot of third-party protective covers for their headset, probably. But the Quest 3, like, this is the first time I've bought headset in quite a while. And I really think for its price, it's pretty good. It's more expensive than the Quest 2. Like this is the 512 gigabyte model, which is $649.
And you kind of need that, right?
Yeah.
You need the 512.
If you're a developer or you want to have a lot of games or a lot of VR chat worlds, because the actual software of the device uses up about 20 gigabytes of the storage on the headset. So the 128 gigabyte version actually is closer to like 80 to 90 gigabytes, which that can hold.
It's 256. That's the minimum. There's one that's the minimum. So it's one up from the bottom is the one that you want. Yeah, because there is not enough room otherwise.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, but generally that said, I'll be showing the specs later. I have all the specs next to each other to compare between headsets, but the thing is the issue with all of these headsets generally is related to inefficiencies in certain parts of their designs, usually ergonomics. It's actually kind of sad how badly they ignore ergonomics on headsets. Even Apple has a few issues. They did better than most, but they did not do it as well as I think they definitely could have. That's why I have a different head strap on this, as well as a different facial interface plate I also, to protect the lenses, have a lens cover. Then I have a device right here. This is so I can plug it into my computer and charge it because this draws a lot of power. And generally the connections to the computer um don't provide enough power for it. So you want to have extra battery packs. So this has a battery mount on the back. Um, yeah, it's this added probably about $400 or so in accessories that, as a developer, I generally consider are pretty important, or for long use playtime are pretty valuable. Most people, if they just are doing standalone with this, the only thing they need to do is find the head strap that works for them and then get a extra battery pack, because I a lot of people will not be using VR headset standalone longer than a couple hours um until they get very used to VR, which takes a lot of time in VR. So like for me, I can go 10, 15 hours in VR, which this headset can't do standalone unless I add big batteries. Um and um the problem with going a long time is weight and ergonomics. And this headset is actually lighter than in its original format with its other head strap, is lighter than the Apple Vision Pro by about 20-ish grams.
Yeah, I was
Which
surprised there wasn't
yeah.
a weight. What didn't have a weighted headset for the Apple Vision
Yeah,
Pro,
yeah,
because it
they
definitely needed one. It was funny because I
yeah.
said to the guy, I said, "Oh, it's light enough; it doesn't need it, huh?" And he said, "You be the judge of that." That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's sort of like he wasn't going to say, "Hell no, that thing's heavy," but you know, so it's funny. So again, they decided not to release it because this is largely practically a developer release anyway of the Apple
yeah.
Vision Pro. But so you're going to have to give me a list of all those accessories,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot to
so we
show
can
I also
let people
have
know.
accessories on my
Quest
on the
controllers.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
the big thing is to have a version that has the like hands-free strap. But this, I also have somewhat big hands, so I got a extended case for it and a bumper because I do a lot of movement in VR. And if I bash this into a wall,
Yeah.
I don't want the wall breaking or this. So that's why I have these cases on the head on the controllers. Um there's also an issue they still haven't really solved with the control, or not really an issue per se for some people, but all all of these VR headsets are using thumbsticks that are way, way too small to be um, ergonomically useful, especially when you can't see them.
Well,
Gen-
thumbsticks are a nightmare anyway. Thumbsticks ruined my thumb in about 45 minutes. I can't even use thumbsticks.
yeah,
So,
and
you know,
that's
that
because they're placed wrong, like thumbs, like a
it's okay. We don't
actual,
have to go into it all
yeah,
right now, but
uh,
can you look at the camera? Are you able to look forward
yeah,
where we
yeah.
are? Okay,
Sorry,
good. Do
I
that. Do that. It's
let
just
me.
it's better to talk to you when you're
Yeah.
looking forward.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay, great. So you went into all the mods for the quest, but
Yeah.
you didn't really talk about the quest. Let's just talk
Yeah.
about the quest for a
Yeah.
minute. And it's
So let me go then to the slides again with
okay, great.
the info. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So you share your screen.
Yep. Share. So this is my breakdown. I'll be talking about the other two headsets in just a minute, but the price, I forgot to add the second Quest 3 option. But this, so
What
price,
second Quest 3 option? What does that mean?
the larger storage version.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
but
I
this is
put it,
okay, but it wouldn't count because we're trying to do it with a $4.99 price point.
yeah, yeah.
So for
So
$4.99, you only get, what do you
yeah,
get? One.
yeah.
It's not there. What do you get for? Oh no, it is five. It is five. Oh no, it's 515 grams.
Yeah, yeah.
How
So
much do you get on the Quest 3 for the $4.99? What comes with it? 128.
I think the current one's
128. Rainer
128.
said 128. Okay,
Yeah,
which isn't enough. You're gonna need the next one up. So it's about six something anyway, but we went ahead and priced it out at $4.99 because otherwise it was sort of like fresh out of the box comparing them. So I'm gonna shut up and let you go. Go ahead, Ryan.
yeah, yeah. So the $4.99, the base one, if you play through games or are fine unloading and loading games, it will work. If you
Yeah, you don't want to do
really,
that. I'm telling you as a
yeah,
user, it's a pain in the ass and you don't want to do it. And it's better to just get a larger hard drive. I mean, that's just my
yeah,
opinion, but we don't have to belabor the
yeah,
point.
yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
very strongly about it, but go on. I do only play Beat Saber Rainer, and I already had a problem when I was trying it on one that, yeah, there's just not enough room. Because I like to do a lot of VR chat stuff. I like to do a lot of stuff, and it adds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, carry on.
Yeah, yeah. So it uses LCD panels, which are so they're pretty good with color, though they are not the greatest. You don't have that good of black levels. Um, it doesn't always get very bright, and when like color is very valuable for immersion. Because when you're covering your eyes, you want to see something kind of close to reality, especially when it's doing pass through. And so far, the only headset that really succeeds at this is the Apple Vision Pro, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the Quest 3 out of these three here does have the largest field of view. It's only a couple degrees more, but that can make a difference in immersion. But
Yeah. So I did want to do these in the
yeah.
opposite order. So
Oh.
we've already talked enough about the Quest, to be honest.
Yeah.
We can get into detail later if people have specific questions.
Yeah.
So again, so now we're got to do them in this order now. So Quest to Bigscreen, what are you getting for the extra money? Bottom line.
Okay. Yeah. So
Quickly, what
okay.
I mean, first the quick answer before the long answer. Because
Yeah.
somebody just wants to buy it. They want to know, like, what do I get for the extra $500?
Yeah. So you get higher resolution and a OLED panel on a much lighter headset. If you look at that weight,
like the sound
this
of that.
is the big screen is much lighter, which from all the people I know who've beta tested it, that makes a incredible difference. The weight more than makes up for its smaller field of view. Just because it's so much smaller and closer to your face, like if I go back and just show it, this this is the size of the entire headset. It is tiny. It is very light,
So you're not
And
thinking about it, because I do
yeah,
think about the weight when I've got it
yeah,
on. I'm often
yeah,
thinking about how heavy it is.
yeah. Like, in Sadly It's Bradley's like long review video after a couple months, he mentioned how one of the things he had to unlearn was his own he usually has to compensate for the weight. People who use VR a lot are naturally compensating for the weight of the headset with their movements. And with a light, slim headset like this, you don't need to compensate your movements. And it took a bit for him to get used to that. And I've tried a few very small, lightweight headsets similar to this, and it is it's very different when the device feels a lot less like something you're wearing and it than something that's just there. That it's a lot closer to wearing glasses or um
Okay,
like
so
yeah.
if you've talked me into it, I'm ready to go
Yeah.
buy one. Can I play Audio Trip and Beat Saber on it? Bam.
Yes, if you plug it
I can
into
play
your
anything on my
PC.
Meta. Oh, I gotta plug it into. I can't plug it into my PC. I told you
Yeah.
it's no fun to plug it into my PC.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the
So
ass.
that's the problem at the moment. There
So I
is
can't go buy one tomorrow
yeah.
and make it work with Beat Saber and Audio Trip.
Yeah. Generally, this headset is for longer time VR users who want to upgrade from their previous VR
That's me.
Steam
That's
VR headset
yeah.
users. So this is for I'd say about if you want PC VR, which a lot of people they will start with Quest and then they'll move to PC VR when they want to release
Right,
go
that's what
into
I'm trying to
VR.
do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. But if I can't still play my games, which are the main thing that I do every day in VR, then
Or
then I'm not
but
gonna buy the headset.
or you can play them, you just need to be tethered, and that
But I
tether
can't be tethered. You can't be tethered. What are you talking about? That air tether thing you said might work.
or so
Might it
this
work?
not yet.
Ah, so I can't do it. Okay. I
Yeah.
just wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
But
can't do
there
it.
is plans from a lot of different companies working on creating better PC VR air tethers using WeGig or Wi-Fi 7. Because there's also the option of using a wearable computer, which are starting to become more common.
Okay, but
It,
that's not gonna help me
yeah,
any when I'm trying to upgrade my system
yeah,
now. So I can't upgrade my system now better. The only thing I could do is to get a Quest 3 instead of a Quest 2. And the Quest 3s
yeah,
are available? Are they available
yep.
now?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just
Okay.
walked into Best Buy and just picked one up
Okay.
off a shelf.
So what can you do
Yeah.
with the big screen beyond if it's not gonna play all the games that you
Or
can
it or
you'd
for
have to go
you it
get them.
won't,
But
but
you have to go get
for
them. You have to set everything up on your
yeah,
PC, where
yeah.
before it was just in the Quest, right? That's time and
Or
money to get that all
or
set up, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So
So again, if you have
it's
all the time and money, which I
yeah,
don't, so
yeah,
later maybe. So
yeah.
what is the big screen? Is it? It sounds like maybe it's more of a developer thing than anything
At
right
the
now. Then,
moment,
or if you've
it's
already got a bunch of
yeah.
PC games that you could play it
Yeah,
with.
yeah, if you already have PC VR stuff, it's a fantastic upgrade. And um it's higher resolution and OLED panels. Like this headset is the closest thing right now that's to like the Apple Vision Pro that's cheaper
Yeah.
by
Okay.
a large
And
margin.
it's
There's
not $9.99 because with you need the controllers and the base stations, so
but
it's
if you
1,600.
Yeah, if you do PC VR, you probably already have those. So that's
Maybe,
yeah.
but maybe not. If you're trying to get a
Yeah.
system, but it's not good for me to portray that you could get up and running for $9.99. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're not already up running, you're not going to be up and running for only $9.99. So really, that's a deal breaker. It's not just a $500. It's not more than 500. It's that the Quest 3 is more than 500 anyway to get one with enough memory, and then it's another 1,000, not another 500, to go up to the big screen. And then let's talk about the Apple Vision Pro, which is really neat, even though you don't really want to go buy one yet, is what it seems like, unless you're a developer. Then you definitely want to go buy one right away.
Yeah. So a question came in about, can you use Quest controllers with Big Screen Beyond? And sadly, no. Though if this would be up to Meta if they released controller like a way
Specs
to
and
do
drivers,
that, but
toolkit. Yeah.
it is not probably going to happen.
But you can use other controllers with the big screen system,
you can
right?
use any Steam VR tracked controller, as well as there's a few third-party controllers that might be coming out from like HTC, that might could probably work with it as well. There's
You had those slime controllers you were talking about. Does slime work with big screen?
Yeah, so that Slime VR, that works with Steam VR directly, or Unity or Unreal. And I think Blender and a few other things. So, and you can use Slime VR, I think, with Quest 3 as well. And I think it sounds like one or two people might have gotten it working with Apple Vision Pro by pretty much streaming VR chat from a PC into the Apple Vision Pro and then using it.
So they got it working, but it was a delicate operation.
Yeah,
so which controllers would you recommend for big screen then?
For big screen,
viewer
really
is asking.
just index controllers. There's Big Screen doesn't make their own controllers yet. And there's issues with the HTC controllers that make me not always like recommending those. So really just the index controllers you buy directly from Steam, or Valve, which makes Steam, and as well as the base stations for the tracking. You can often get those. They have discounts every once in a while, and but yeah, the extra like $577 is for the controllers and base stations. But if you have a PC that can run PC VR, and you set up a it correctly, even with the tether, because the headset is so much lighter, as long as you have the tether on like a ceiling cable or something, you won't even notice the tether, because it's so light. But generally, it like Big Screen Beyond is still definitely a system that you have to already be either used to PC VR or be very interested in the benefits of going to PC VR from a just standalone like Quest 2 or Quest 3. although lately, because of the developer environment, it's not as valuable unless you care a lot about like VR chat or
We'll have to look in the
yeah,
future at another
yeah,
what would be maybe a better next one up to recommend for people that
yeah,
isn't a full $1,000 more.
yeah.
That is
The
more than the Quest 3, but for now I really want to get to the
yeah,
Apple
yeah.
Vision
Let's
Pro. Okay, so
go
let's get to
to the
that.
Apple. Yeah,
And that was
yeah,
really interesting. I
yeah.
was able to get a demo last night,
Yep.
and
I got
um,
mine on Monday, last
yeah,
Monday. Yeah,
yeah, and it was pretty impressive. So take it away
yeah,
and tell us all about it.
yeah, yeah. So the Apple Vision Pro was it's probably I would say it's the first VR or mixed reality headset that is um actually able to meet what it says it's there to do. It's like it's not perfect, but out of the box, the level of polish it has really shows that it's an Apple product. The gestures you use to do things work 95% of the time. The only time I had troubles was if my hands were overlapping in certain ways that it couldn't pick it up. It the I it uses eye tracking, which I've been a big proponent for years, and the implementation of eye tracking with just like putting your fingers together works so seamlessly.
Yeah, so it's really good. You
Yeah,
focus on it. You can focus on it, and you don't have to like really like on that thing or whatever. It knows what you're looking at,
yeah,
and then you just close your fingers, and you don't have to hold them up. I had to get used to not holding them up, so you can have them down here. So you're looking at it, and it sees what you're looking at, and then you close your fingers down here to select it. And I mean, it worked immediately. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and then I just forgot about it, and I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
thinking about it. Every
Yeah,
other time there weren't hand controllers when I try with my Quest. I'm like thinking about it, and
yeah,
with
yeah.
this, I pretty
It
much forgot about it immediately.
Yeah, it is really nice. Like the level of fidelity it has puts pretty much everything else to shame. There are headsets like the Pimax Crystal and the Varjo V XR4 that are really good and are in this kind of higher end category. But the thing about this is the level of polish and the level of pass through. Pass through is incredibly hard to do well. And a big part of that has to do with how you do the software processing of the pass through cameras. And most places don't do it that great. Even the Quest 3 here, which has some really decent cameras, still has a bunch of warping because the
Oh, I think wait a minute, I
yeah.
think Desi had a question about
Oh,
that. Desi.
yeah.
How does the Apple Vision Pro address the problem of warping in the pass-through view?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So the to explain to people what we're talking about is if you see like dead set next to me. So if I'm wearing this, my eyes are up here. The cameras that are showing the pass through are below my eye line and are a set distance apart that is different than how wide my eyes are. That means its perspective on the world is different than what my eyes want to see. So they have to warp the image and correct it as if it's where I'm looking out. And that is computationally challenging, and to do it properly depth corrected is quite difficult. So a good tell if it's doing good job is, can you catch something someone is throwing to you, like a bottle of water, while you're in the VR headset? And in most cases, you can't. The That's one of those things where Apple did such a good job of correcting any warping, that it was very, very hard for me to ever find any warping up until I was in the VR headset looking at my phone using the pass through and noticing a bit of warping on my phone when scrolling through text. And that more has to do with the frame rate and some of its processing. Whereas when I'm on the Quest 3 and I do the same thing, my phone just is, it's no longer a rectangle. It starts to, if I tilt my phone at all, it warps quite dramatically because the
Right.
closer you are to where the cameras are, the harder the processing is to realign what you are seeing. Far away stuff is fine because your perspective and the perspective of the cameras are close enough together that far away stuff doesn't really matter for recalibration or um, having to translate it. Close stuff is what matters. So, what is something that's kind of close to you that you want to use with pass through? Your hands. So, this is a big issue with a lot of pass through hand tracking on most headsets is your hands won't be exactly where you want them to be. This and your brain can get fatigued from trying to do a lot of this processing itself, being like, my hand is not, I where I see my hand is not where my hand actually is. And Apple has made this almost a non-issue. It's still there, but it is so much less of a issue compared to in other headsets. And the other thing is, uh, the quality is so much higher. Looking through the pass-through cameras on the Apple Vision Pro looks not, it's not perfect reality. Colors are a bit muted, lighting's a bit weird, but it's, you have to be used to knowing what pass through is like to really be like, oh wow, this is a much higher bar than what
Yeah, you
anyone
pretty much
else.
forget about it. Like I
Yeah,
forgot about
yeah,
it. I forgot to actually use it while the something was on. I forgot that that was there. And I got
yeah,
used to just being able to look at the guy that was doing the demo and see
yeah,
his face and then go back to the
yeah,
go back to the display, and that was only weird the first time.
yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
then it's just the way it's always been. And a lot of people, this is all they're ever going to know. They're when everybody is finally doing this years from now. Now you mentioned the pass through is a lot better on the Quest 3 now.
Yes, that compared to the Quest 2, it is, and actually even compared to the Quest Pro from what I've heard from some people, um the Quest 3 has color pass through, and because software can be improved or patched or upgraded, they can improve the pass through further. The Quest 3 has in the middle another couple of sensors. It has a like lidar slash like depth sensor that it doesn't even really use that heavily. but it's not like the Apple Vision Pro where it literally has an entire separate chip that is doing, or it has a the Quest 3 has a AI like coprocessor for all of this stuff, but it's nowhere near as powerful as the R1 chip in the Apple Vision Pro that is doing all of this processing in less than 12 milliseconds is what they claim. That um what you're seeing out in the world is less than 12 milliseconds, which is right around where you need it to be for general smooth motion clarity. Is an incredible feat. Um it's yeah, the that set, like, it's expensive. Like, it's $3,500. But the funny part is that's actually not that different from a high-end OLED TV. And I would actually say if you live alone or don't care about watching TV with other people, this is a better buy than a $3,500
'Cause it'll give
TV.
you a big screen.
A bigger screen
A bigger
at a
screen.
higher
Yeah,
resolution.
and actually, it sounds crazy, but the only time that I had spent, except for our interview with Big Soulja, which was 4.5 hours, but the time we were watching anime during the pandemic, and
In
you're
VR.
in VR, and it feels like you're in a big theater and you're watching on a big, beautiful screen, but you're
Yeah.
in VR. And except for bio breaks, mainly maybe like somewhere between 4 and 5 hours for me, and
Yeah.
that wasn't even with the Quest 2 made that better, but I don't know, this 10 or 11 hour thing, I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
And basically, if you're doing it just a little bit every day, you still have to do the 5, 15, 45 rule that I came up with. You're just doing 5 minutes a day for about a week, then you're doing 15 minutes a day for about a week, then you can go up to 45 minutes. Anything after that, you just got to be really careful. It happens very quickly. It's not like you won't know, you'll be going about your business in VR and all of a sudden something's wrong. You don't know, you don't know quite what it is, but when you move, it's not okay. And you're just like, just let everybody know that you've had enough and you need to leave. And everybody, see, Rainer's remembering.
Yeah.
Everybody, it happens to everybody. It's just a
Yeah.
question of how long it takes, and there's no shame. And it's funny, you tell people, and everybody knows what you mean. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
and you never know when it's going to happen too, because it depends on so many things. It depends on the world, how fast the world is like moving under your feet. It depends on how much you're moving around and the relation of you moving around compared to the world. The last time it happened to me, I was getting a wonderful tour from the BVCVR folks who do Virtual Burning Man in Altspace.
Oh,
and I was getting this beautiful tour of all these beautiful virtual, and we're flying around in between the exhibits and from over to the burn and back to the exhibits. And it was just like a dream, and everything was great and everything was fine. And then it wasn't. But it's nothing you can put your finger on. It's not like I'm sick, I am going to get sick. It's more just like things aren't right, with your head. So it's really easy.
Yeah.
The solution, for one thing, Dramamine. I use Dramamine now. I took Dramamine before my Apple Vision Pro demo. You take it a half hour before you go in until you get used to it. And again, some people go, "Oh, I don't want to take drugs." And I mean, really, Dramamine is harmless. And again, anybody that knows me knows that, like, drugs for fun. This is a drug for fun that doesn't do anything to you. You've got nothing to lose. It will be fun. You will be able to have fun on the device, and you got nothing to lose. So I would really recommend Dramamine if you're going to go get an Apple Vision Pro demo, which I recommend you do. Anybody can go to the App Store and get one.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. You can sign up online, but they also they undersell the number of slots
Yeah, they
they
turn
have.
it off. They turn it off
Yeah.
after a while too every day
Yeah.
because I didn't sign up and then I couldn't sign up and then it opened back up. So I was able to
Yeah.
grab it.
Yeah.
And
It's
so yeah. So tell
it's
us
a
more about the Apple Vision Pro in terms of, you know, oh yeah, some of the challenges. Desi, you had that question.
yeah.
Have you encountered any challenges with typing in VR on the Apple Vision Pro?
I
Yeah.
told her
So
about it.
yeah, that one is why VR usually has controllers is for advanced input. Using your hands to do certain input can be difficult at times, especially if you're a touch typer, where you don't look at your hands, you will have trouble with the Apple Vision Pro like poking in the air to type. And this also happens on other headsets because the thing
It
is the
always sucks
controllers
poking in the air
aren't
to type.
yeah, controllers aren't much better like pointing clicking. It's faster and it will fatigue you less because even though we have hands that can move around, we are not used to keeping our hands in there for a long time. That's why Apple put so much effort into their down pointing cameras so that to do clicks and stuff, you can have your hand resting on your lap. You don't need it to be in your visual field for stuff to work. You just need your eyes to be seeing what you want to interact with and then click. Um,
Right,
but
it takes a minute because at first
yeah,
you're holding up your hands where you're looking, and then you're reminded, oh, you don't have to do that, and then
yeah,
again, then it's like
yeah,
you never do it again. You just remember,
yep.
it was
And
amazing.
there is definitely a chance that Apple might make a method for um, typing that's y- pretty much a context aware version of eye tracking and like looking at your hands just typing on a real keyboard. Or just Bluetooth connect a keyboard. That's what a lot of people do. Just connect a keyboard. That's like
But you're
they
still, how do you see
yeah.
it? You still have to see it through
Or
because the pass
or
through. You're saying you can see it.
yeah. Or
Okay,
if you're a good typer and you can type without looking at your keyboard, then you're fine as well. But
okay.
the
Desi, you had another question,
yeah.
didn't you? Along these lines. Uh-oh, can't hear her. Oops. Go ahead and try again, Desi, with the tough sound on. Oh, okay. I guess she's not working anymore. She's asking about standalone controllers that work with Apple Vision Pro because you were
Yeah.
talking about before the Slime VR and the
Yeah.
Index and those other standalone controllers. Do those
So
work with the Apple Vision Pro?
So Slime VR might, depending on the application. But generally they show
That's
in
no.
um but the controller a lot of times they show people using for doing games and stuff. It just
Right.
the PS5 controller.
So that
Because
seems
this
like that's a big
yeah,
market. That's a big market
yeah.
for this headset. Are these PC gamers that just want to take it up another launch, right?
Or
Another
I wouldn't
notch. That's
say
what I'm hearing.
PC gamers. This is more mobile to like
I thought you said
mid-level
you'd have to connect it
laptops.
to the
Yeah.
PC to be able to.
Or you can play games on it. You can't play AAA games directly, but you can Airlink or I don't know what I can't remember what the Apple calls their like AirPlay, I think, or SharePlay or something, where you can connect it to your PC and then just then everything your PC is doing, it just streamed to the headset, which for certain things is
Is that going to
fine.
work for all those
Yeah,
games? Is it going to work?
yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the game and how latency sensitive it is. Um, as
Why?
well,
Is there latency? Because there's latency going to the headset
yeah,
now that wasn't there
yeah,
before? Okay.
yeah, because it's not running natively. But the thing is I generally right now see this other than as a developer headset. If you want to do, if you just want a something better than a $3,500 OLED TV, this is it. Like
Again,
the
no,
what?
I personally wouldn't want to have to put a whole thing on my head every time I watch TV. I watch TV while I'm doing shit
Yeah,
around the house and stuff. I'm not going to do all that
yeah,
with a thing on my head, especially not
or
that thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
it
not,
more
you know.
depends what type of content you consume.
I think
Like
you can get a TV for less than that, frankly.
yeah,
For
you can get a
$3,500, you can get a
really
beautiful TV.
yeah, you can like it's
It'd be
hitting in a
2 grand.
range that most people don't care for, but the like
Yeah.
watching the trailer for um in my demo they did the trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie
Right.
in
Me too.
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that looked amazing. It looked similar to seeing it in a theater as
Right, because
look
that's the 3D
yeah,
effect when it goes into the
yeah,
box as opposed to the
yeah.
stuff that comes out to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it looked really dang good. Like I'd love to watch anime or movies, YouTube, all of that
Yeah,
sort of stuff, and
it's
that
okay,
would look
but you're
amazing.
watching it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you're just watching it, you know?
yeah, yeah,
I don't usually just watch TV. I'm doing other things, from time to time. Getting away from the computer is the point of watching TV for me. I'm not gonna
yeah,
It's not gonna count as relaxation time if I put a thing on my head and I'm immersed in some heavy duty thing. You see what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
Right?
different thing. But again, so I'm trying to figure out what you can do on it, and this is what I was asking yesterday. Um,
Yeah,
you won't be needing to look at your phone if you have an iPhone, because the idea is all your phone is on the headset, which was something I
yeah,
didn't realize before until I took the demo.
yeah,
You've basically got your whole virtual desktop on
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and they have a way for you to have too many windows in your
Yeah,
headset, like you have too many windows on the computer, which I'm not going to do on
yeah,
my headset. I would ugh,
yeah,
that would drive me crazy. So what
yeah.
do you
I've
do besides the 3D experiences and the iPad games? But I mean, it's an iPad game. They're not, they're not that exciting. So
yeah,
right now, what would you actually be using if you're not learning about it and learning to develop for it and just having it in terms of the best that can be done kind of now? Oh, and the eye inserts were amazing, which you weren't impressed with, and I won't bother to show the video, but there's
or
a machine that you just give them your glasses and they make eye inserts for the Apple Vision Pro that you'll use for your demo. So it has
yeah,
your prescription in it when they give it to you. And they couldn't really tell me too much more about the details with regard as to how
yeah.
that works,
It
because I of course was really interested in all that. Um, and that's a really important thing when if you
yeah,
do decide to buy one of these, is there are 30 different sizes of that piece that goes in the front. It attaches magnetically,
yeah.
and then there's small, medium, large for
Headband,
the
yeah.
headband.
Like my headset took 15 minutes to put together because I have a really, really small head. So it took a while for them to get all the parts together. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
um it was really, really a fun demo. It's a free demo. You don't get to keep the prescription lenses or anything, but
No, you don't even know where they go. You don't even know
Yeah.
where they go. It comes to you out of the oven with them
Yeah.
put in and
They're
everything already. You don't get to see
slotted
any of that.
on the inside, but the thing is afterwards they can email you your exact
They did that.
setup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do that, so
Yeah.
you have that whole setup if you wanna
Yeah.
buy it. Yeah,
So,
but I'm
yeah.
saying to somebody so you basically don't wanna even try to buy one without getting a demo first,
Yeah.
for one
Yeah.
thing. That part
Yeah.
is very clear. So take your if you do wanna buy one, take 2 Dramamine a half hour before you go, and then get a demo. Bring your glasses so they can, use the inserts, and because you're getting a lot of important information that you're gonna need before you can actually buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
important.
And
Um
to your question earlier about what you would use this for outside of some of those things, a big part of this is still that it's such untouched ground with having a good XR headset. Something I quickly noticed I might do in it is that they had me go on a app and look at some recipes. I'm like, I would actually feel comfortable doing certain parts of cooking while wearing this if it had my recipe up in that set. That
Yeah, I
could
wouldn't do that. I
uh,
wouldn't be
yeah.
dealing with hot things or things
Or
that are
yeah,
gonna
I
cut my
wouldn't
finger
do
off with the
that,
headset on.
and
I
I
don't think we could
wouldn't
recommend that.
use a
So just because
knife.
you would do it,
No.
this is where you have to say, "Do not do things
No.
at home that
I
Ryan will
do
do."
baking with it. I
Yeah, bad
like
idea.
yeah.
Don't do that. That's a bad idea. We don't want to tell people to do that. There's too many things that could go wrong. Absolutely, with
Yeah.
doing that at this
Yeah.
point, and and certainly the weight alone is just be too easy to get
Yeah.
distracted. But that's still another fringe thing. My point is,
Yeah.
in terms of gaming, either you're a gamer that already has your whole setup and can just plug in another headset, and you want the best headset, right?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of
Which
gamers want.
plugging
Now,
the Apple Vision Pro into your PC
yeah, how's
is
that gonna go? That's the number one
you need
question
a
people wanna know.
$300 accessory. You have to
Oh!
swap out and I think it only so one of these side bands where the power cord is plugged in,
Hold on, are
you
you trying to
pop
show a slide now? Go ahead and show the
Oh,
slides again,
yeah.
Rainer, because we had you big again because we hadn't looked at the slides for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
the side bands here where the audio bit is, those come off. I was one of the first person to be like, that is people were like, no, it doesn't come apart. I'm like, oh, it does. They'd be stupid not to. And it does. That only a few people have actually shown that.
Uh-huh.
iFixit showed how you pop it off. And you put a different side strap on that plugs into a PC or Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for businesses, it definitely will be very good for doing certain types of tasks where you need it to identify things in front of you. Or
Yeah, I mean, when it goes
yeah.
full AR and you're actually
Yeah.
looking through the thing and it's got
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
could tell you how to work on your car or whatever, which again
Yeah.
it's still gonna be
It's
ugly when people actually
there's
try to do this shit.
yeah.
It's like
Right now it's a lot more business oriented type stuff
Yeah.
that will benefit from this more than consumer stuff at the moment. Especially because of its price point. Yeah, it's going to be a while, I think, before this really becomes something consumers generally want, but
Uh-huh.
I'm really hopeful that VR chat gets a port to it at some point soon, or any social VR thing, because This headset does have some features we didn't really talk about, which is their persona system.
Well, that's what we're getting to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're about to get to. Desi, you had a question on that, didn't you? And before we can't hear her. Okay, no problem. So the question, that we just wanted to ask about, the persona system and the Apple Vision Pro and the system with the facial expressions and stuff that you were talking about. I actually forgot to get that yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to see that. He forgot to show me.
Yeah, the demo, they didn't do the persona setup, but I.
You talked about it though. So how did you know all that from it? Go ahead and tell them what you told me. Just tell them what you told me.
Yeah, that their persona system is really, really amazing. It's actually, when I first learned about how good it was from Sadly It's Bradley, from this video where he uses it, and like I've used facial mocap VR stuff before, like a lot of advanced users, and it's okay. It helps with expression. It's very good for immersion and being being able to interact with others in VR and feel like you're actually there. But the level of detail in the expressions and facial animation in the persona system that Apple has, or avatar system, is way, way better. I have a little clip from when Sadly It's Bradley was setting it up. Yeah. So you can see his regular camera.
To me. You
and
can change the brightness of your skin.
Go ahead and make it bigger, make it larger,
okay.
so we can see it.
Yep. Wait. Just a sec.
I can put on glasses.
Yeah. Let me go to when he's.
How do I make the
There's a specific spot.
You know why I had to adjust my fit? Because there's no top strap.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you...
Come here, chat. Come here.
Yeah, so...
But, like...
If you see his
so weird.
tongue,
it's tracking
his
everything.
Cheeks, his blinking...
What else can I do?
His eyebrows...
Look at this! Look what I'm doing!
He's scowling, which,
I can
like...
scowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean... It looks really good.
But that's the whole point. You were telling me. So again, I'll just go ahead and say it. So the point is that it does a scan. They do a scan of your face.
Yeah.
And it's actually able to track expressions. And so it would actually be able to show the expressions on their face. So instead of an alt space where you have this generic, like, emotional face, where somebody's listening to you intensely because it's different than it usually is. No, it changes in alt space.
Yeah.
It changes just a little bit, and you can tell that they're like thinking of you or whatever, like it's more emotional, but it's just, that's all you get. You get the regular face and the emotional face, and the regular face, the emotional face. This is incredible. In fact, I didn't understand why, because he scanned my face, but then he didn't show me the persona system. So now I've given my facial scan.
Or the scan they do with the iPhone is not the persona system scan. That requires the actual Vision Pro.
It needs a scan of your face for the Vision Pro to work?
Or no, it's literally you do a second scan with the Vision Pro itself.
Okay. What was the first scan for, though, since they didn't show me any persona stuff? What was all that for?
The first scan was just for setting up the your sizing. That was just for sizing.
Oh, it's for sizing. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. What Brad's doing right here, where
that's why there's 30 different ones. That's why there's 30 of those different settings, because it's actually about the shape of your face, not just like small, medium, large. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Whereas the persona system setup is what he's doing right here, because the cameras on the it's a very similar process to the other setup, but this setup uses much more advanced sensors than what are in the iPhone. So it gets a much better 3D scan, and it will do things. Yeah, close your eyes.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and then
we'll see how this went.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also
However,
see some of the typing
even though
here.
it still sucks,
Yeah.
being able to have the hand occlusion and like the sort of feedback here, like when I push down, you see it kind of gives a little bit.
That's cool.
That is kind of okay.
Yeah.
But it's still a long way to go. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see. Sadly.
Yeah, it's still being able to do all of these expressions.
Oh my god. This is better Iron face tracking than Quest Pro.
Yeah. Like it's
no way.
Yeah.
I can even lift my eyebrows.
And thank you to Sadly It's Bradley too, who gave us permission to use
Oh.
these clips on the show so we could show you this stuff. It's really gets the point across, you know.
Oh
when you
yeah,
see it in action.
It might be a 2-hour video, but I highly recommend watching this if you want to know more about Apple Vision Pro. He goes through pretty much his first 2 hours of using that set and experiences, and just the other day he uploaded a new video of how he's liked it after using it for 80 hours.
So
And
all the other stuff that comes up, you have to use it for a while to be able to even come across this stuff. Yeah.
And if it's anything like all the other headsets he usually reviews, he'll do a follow-up after a few months. Because there's a lot of stuff that's hard to know right when you start out with headset, what issues there are, or what features you didn't think you were going to use that you end up using.
Yeah.
Those are a big deal. That usually take a few, like 100 hours over weeks, to learn that you care about. So,
Well, I'm going to go back. I'm trying to go back and get another demo because I want to see that persona system in action. See if they can show me that.
I might do another demo as well.
If they'll do it. Oh, look, Desi made it back. Desi.
Did you have any questions about the persona system or like being embodied in VR?
She did have a question. Let's see if we can hear her.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess not. Nope. For some reason, we can't hear her. That's just what happens sometimes. So that's okay. Sorry, Desi. So the couple of questions that keep coming back to what can you do with this thing? If it's PC games that you can manage to do the cordless attachment to, okay. But for the average person who just wants to turn this thing on and stick it on their head and use it or not, what can they do?
Yeah.
There's iPad games, phone games. There's a lot of experiences, a lot of 3D experiences that looked really incredible. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's like that's a lot of fun. This headset's also at a high enough resolution where text is very readable, and you could write using it. That's
yes, and it was amazing. And there was a tweet that showed someone reading one of the Internet Archive's books through an Apple Vision Pro, which to me felt like this historical again, like I was like, oh, Internet Archive on the Apple Vision Pro. You know, and so that's my
There's an
worlds
O with
colliding. You know, my worlds colliding
had
in
two-
terms of you know, being able to use VR to just go do a really cool version of the stuff that we already like to do.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, beautiful version
also
of it.
being able to see really, really good 3D scans of stuff or being able to like virtually visit places. This is such a better experience. Like, there are really amazing 3D scans of lots of historical landmarks around the world that this would be so much better of an experience than looking at on most other headsets or looking at on your computer, like taking a like virtual tour of a space.
Yeah. I mean,
Then
it's already so incredible. You know, you can see Notre Dame. Luckily, they scanned Notre Dame before it burned down, and all that kind of stuff. And at first it was just sort of, it was cute. It was interesting. It was interesting that it worked. It was interesting to fly around in Notre Dame. But then, Rainer's telling me that Ubisoft scanned it for a game. Oh, that's why we have that scam. So we got lucky because I didn't see it through Ubisoft games, so they made it available, which is really
Assassin's
cool.
Creed.
Yeah, so that's very
thank you.
cool. Good to Ubisoft. And let me tell you, saying good Ubisoft, this is something that I say very often.
Yeah, no,
And for lots of other reasons. But in this one case, they got one in, and we can say thank you, Ubisoft. So I'm saying it's gone beyond the dog and pony show, is what I'm saying. It had already gone beyond that before Apple Vision Pro. Frankly, with my Quest 2, things look amazing, like Mount Everest, like all the places you can go, and you're there. And I mean, maybe the resolution can get higher, but I can't tell. It looks real to me. And the fact that Apple Vision Pro has now gone beyond that, and people need to take advantage of the platform and you know, start doing interesting things with it. So again, if you've got money to burn and it's something to play with your family and your kids and stuff like that, then I would say it's an investment. But if you want something out of the box that you're going to be able to use easily, that has a lot of things to do on it, a lot of games and stuff already ready to go, that's kind of the advantage, you know, that the Quest has. Now, of course, there's Steam, which has lots of games that play on different devices, but it gets complicated on which things play on different devices unless you're already a gamer. If you're trying to just set it up for your kid, you know, it can get complicated. And I still recommend always that you are there with your kid while they're using, well, the computer in general, but especially with VR. I very famously had a family member put on a skiing. Ryan's laughing because he remembers they put on a skiing game that had you pivot, it had you steering with your head, and they threw themselves across the room. And luckily didn't hurt themselves too badly, but was very disoriented. And it's good to have someone with you, especially in the beginning, but for kids especially, because they have questions and things like that. And it's better. You can be watching TV while the kid's doing VR, and then they can yell the questions, and, you know, it's just good. So that's just my spiel, you know, sticking kids into these things, which I would do if I was a parent. I'm not a parent, but if I had a kid, they would definitely be doing VR because it's amazing. It's oh, hey, there's Desi. We can't see you anymore. But we can hear you now, but it's okay because we've kind of done, we're kind of done, but I'm glad we can hear you now. Do you want to?
I'm
Go
back.
ahead. Okay, she's back. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, yeah. I did want to say one concern that still exists for VR, most specifically with early generation VR, is that kids' eyesights are still developing. So putting them in VR too much could cause eye strain issues, possibly. But that's also why higher resolution and higher like fidelity VR is so critical so that we don't have some of those problems. But until we get um uh like variable focus VR stuff, or um it's still going to be a while before a headset that won't cause eye strain.
Yeah, well, if you wear it too long, it's going to strain your eyes. I mean, come on, don't
Yeah.
wear it for so long. That's the
I
answer
mean,
to that
then
problem.
again, so is looking at your phone for too
Yeah,
long.
don't do
like-
that for too long either.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid. Don't do it for too long. All right. Hey,
Yeah.
Grace. Sorry, I always do that.
Desi.
Desi. I'm so used to Grace. We had her for the last 3 shows. Desi has her own band and stuff. As you know, she's got Desdemona's Dream.
Yeah, I'm
and,
wearing the Desi shirt.
Oh, you've got her shirt on. Excellent. And so Desi is really interested in some of these effects and how they might apply to her and her other projects. Go ahead and ask a question, Desi.
How does the facial tracking technology in the Apple Vision Pro compare to Hollywood motion capture devices?
Yeah. Yeah, so this actually is pretty relevant right now, because if people didn't see it there during the Super Bowl, there was a SpongeBob and Patrick version of them being broadcasters watching the Super Bowl, and that was being face and body tracked using Xsense hand controllers and I think a Xsense suit or Rococo.
So they had 2
Xsense
live
suit.
people being the commentators, and then they showed SpongeBob people.
Yeah.
So
or
that's an
they-
avatar system.
Yeah, and that was actually using the same tracking as I don't have an iPhone.
Doesn't matter.
As VTubers use. It was literally just a iPhone on a head mount, which you can find pictures of this online. And that used to be something that required $1 million studios in Hollywood to do. Now a majority of people, even to mid-level things in Hollywood, will just use an iPhone on a head mount. It is that reliable for like animation, facial motion capture. But the thing is this headset does a better job of doing real-time facial motion capture than I think almost any of those other devices. So I am very excited to theoretically see the facial motion capture data that they're using for Apple's system be available to developers for like VTubers, or if you want to do something like create your own movie or something, or act in a like video game or something, you could do the facial motion capture yourself and put yourself in a game or something. And I actually could see them using this in video game development as the tool to do it, because this
Yeah.
is a lot cheaper than what they use in Hollywood most
What are
of
the
the
potential
time.
concerns with storing facial tracking data on the device?
Yeah, so that's where it gets a bit complicated, because this raw data, this facial data, is very detailed, and looking at like sadly it's Bradley and other people there, that is almost enough data to be applied to do deep fakes or create possibly even a fake ID or stuff. So this data is definitely going to be sensitive, and
You only need a picture
It-
for a fake ID. What do you mean? It's not even. It's already
Or
beyond what you have for a fake ID.
or there are certain IDs in certain countries that are actually doing more like detailed, more than just an image. It's
Oh,
you. Certain places are starting to try to implement holographic ID images. Um, I don't know if anyone's actually implemented them, but it's really cool. But something
cool.
where your mom and pop shop can't copy it, but if you have this sort of data, you possibly could, and that's why this data. Part of the reason why this data needs to be handled in a very delicate way. It's just like your fingerprint or an iris scan or any form of very, very personal data
I
that
haven't done an
you.
iris scan yet.
Yeah. So
That's what I mean.
not
So we're just counting on, like always, we're just counting on Apple to keep it secure.
yes,
And
which
Apple's to date, yeah, Apple goes back and forth on
yeah,
that. They basically have been
yeah.
keep doing a pretty good job. It looks like every so often the feds try to come in and get them to open up a back door, and Apple says no, and it all gets really hairy, and then everything gets okay again. So that actually hasn't happened for a couple of years. So they're actually
Yeah,
due.
it's been a while.
They're due for
Yeah.
trying that again.
Probably
And
with this device.
yeah, no, but I mean, the feds will have some case, right, when they're trying to. I don't know if somebody's Apple Pro, how useful that's going to be. Boy, I just thought of a couple of movies, I guess, movie scripts for how that would be using an AR headset to terrorize a town or whatever. So basically, in a nutshell, what would you say about I mean, face scans, the whole face scan thing is something that I couldn't get anybody to take seriously, even telling people not to use face scans for their phones. Everybody uses it, I don't think I think that ship has kind of sailed. So in a way, when you talk about the privacy of that data, people think that ship already sailed, but it is data that you want to keep, keep an eye on. If you can.
Yeah, but having it is a two-sided coin because having the data, if you personally can control how it's used, is really cool. Because like someone
right, it's always the same
mentioned,
question. It's always the same thing. Yeah.
like Pure Gameplay mentioned that like there were a few games where you could go and get a Xbox 360 scan of your face and put yourself in a game. And that sort of thing with something like the Persona system is something I'm pretty sure they want people to be able to do. Whether it's in like a social environment or a multiplayer game.
Well, yeah, and people are just going to do it,
be
is what I'm
yourself.
saying. I don't
Yeah.
think that people, I think it's one of these battles we've already lost in terms of getting people to take that data seriously. Rainer's bringing up Unreal Engine's metahumans.
Yes, that's
What are those? What are those?
Unreal Engine, about now 2 years ago, I think it is, released a platform called
2 years ago, yes.
MetaHumans, which
Okay.
is a number of different projects, including some AI projects, some rendering pipeline projects, and then a incredibly high detail 3D human model that you can modify. Like it is the closest to a real-time photorealistic human anyone's gotten. Like it's
That's just in
beyond
there
done.
for anybody to use in Unreal? Now?
Yeah, kind of.
What does that mean?
I can't remember if they fully released it. It was in beta for a long time, and I think there were some complications.
Rainer, there you go. Rainer says
is.
it's free to use. Yeah.
Okay,
Luckily we have Rainer.
Yeah.
Rainer works with me here on the show, and okay, Haley's gonna go. So we're gonna wrap this up, everybody. And I just wanted to thank everybody. I wanted to remind everybody to subscribe before you leave.
Yeah.
And please come back to the show next week. We'll have Matteo Bori. We'll be talking about outer space stuff and robotics on Mars.
I would like to share my last 2 slides with the links.
Sure.
So people
Okay, go ahead.
Get them. So this is a few. I'll also have a lot more links than this. I just added these a bit last second, but
Are you going to make your slides available? Is that why you're saying?
Yeah.
All this? Okay. Great.
And then this is where all of this stuff is going to be stored, is on these 2 things. So for YouTube related stuff, it's all on this upper QR code, and then the bottom one is my links sheet, which has all of the different content related to.
We're going to have a shorter version of both of these that just has to do with stuff that we talked about in the show.
Yeah.
To make it easier maybe to find stuff.
I
But then this is really great if you want to know more, if you want to really get a whole comprehensive page about all the other, for instance, like a lot of the other headsets that we brought up, those controller systems, and a lot of the extra stuff that we talked about. You know, will be in there, but it's very long. So I'm going to have a slightly shorter version of just the stuff that we talked about in the show for you too, that we'll make available, that we'll just link to from the YouTube description. Awesome. So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming on the show and for your questions and everything. It's really going. We're really enjoying having this weekly format. Check out our Discord and our Mastodon. Ryan, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I'm so happy you guys invited me, and it's fun to see Desi again. Been a while since I got to see her.
It was so nice to see you.
Oh, thank you.
And Ryan, we'll have you back probably in April to pick up where we left off. The point of this show, everybody, was to get a backgrounder to be able to use these headsets to give us a whole kind of VR headset backgrounder thing, and then also the AI and VR backgrounder. And now we can move forward. We can have Ryan back every couple months and dig deeper into these subjects now that we've got a great overview for both of it.
Yep, and April will be after GDC. I'll probably be going there to look at the VR stuff and AI stuff again this year, because GDC is a lot of fun for seeing all the developers working on very, very cool projects in these fields. I'm excited.
And that'll be great. You'll tell us about GDC then.
Yep.
Okay, great. So thanks a lot for coming on the show. And we will see you next week. Sweet dreams. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.